The 711th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMASGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And we're also brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a new social sportsbook available in 45 states. Download the Rebet app and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match of up to $100. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing the college football and NFL seasons with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Heidi ho, degenerinos. I'm already butchering words. Episode 711 of the MMA Gambling Podcast coming into your orifices right now, dedicated to Prophetized Dubs, which is a funny name. One of our friends on YouTube who says, awesome call on Dennis Gumby. Dennis, it should be Dennis Gumby. I assume he's talking about Dennis Golstov, who became a millionaire at the PFL this weekend, right? Gumby, really?
Yeah, and cashed as, I think when we broke it down, I think it was a pick'em or maybe like negative 115. He got all the way to plus 135 by fight time, or 45 for some people, I guess. And people in the Discord were doubling and tripling and quadrupling their bets. I, unfortunately, with that being my best hit of the week, maybe was his underdog play. And I was super confident in him. I even said on the show, he's one of my favorite plays the whole week. Yeah. I didn't watch. That was like the only fight I didn't watch. I hit an open mat on Black Friday. Was doing some grappling, and it happened to be just that I missed the weird gap in between the prelims and the main card that was like 700 hours long. I might have missed that like haphazardly put together PFL Mina fight at the top. So that one and the big chunky Russian dudes fight. But yes, I missed it, and then I got to my phone, changed back into my clothes, and there were like 700 Discord messages congratulating me. So that's a good feeling.
Yeah, Gumby just shed a little light into his life there. He grapples naked, so that's why he had to put his clothes back on after the fact.
That's not true. That's not
definitely
true.
Was a Black Friday.
We're not gonna spread that rumor.
It's a Black Friday when Gumby decides to grapple naked. But hey, at least his play came through, right? Yeah, was the pacing horrible? I was so busy this past week, and I did not see.
There were moments
other than clips.
Yeah, there were moments where it was like, oh, hey, this isn't so bad. And then a fight would end and you'd be like, oh.
Yeah, it is.
And it is that bad. I think some of the early decisions or like the fact that KOs came a little bit later in some of the fights. I guess not the first one, and they wheeled the second fight out. Costello Venstinas hit like a sick head kick right off the bat. But for some reason, they have a way of like lulling you into a sense of security of thinking they're not going to suck, and then the production immediately takes a downward trend.
And
do you know who doesn't suck with pacing? Octagon, which is who we're here to talk about. By the way.
Exactly. we love ourselves some Octagon. European MMA is doing pretty good, eh?
Between them and KSW, like those are two promotions. Like, and I'm always the type of person who is like, oh, who's next to come to the UFC? I'm really excited about this guy, that guy. Like, those are two promotions that when people go into them, I no longer think of them as possibly being UFC prospects because they just get happy there. They're clearly being paid enough that like the enticement of a 10-10 UFC contract with the hopes of one day being a star isn't actually all that enticing to them anymore. And I've talked to at least one champion from Octagon who's very happy there. I talked to Sam Creasy, and I talked to another one who you're going to see on a future episode of the Top Turtle MMA podcast.
Nice.
Will F. Flurry, who seems pretty pumped about being there as well. So Octagon doing a really good job.
Gumby gave me a sneak peek. Well, I haven't heard it yet, but a sneak peek of that Will Fleury interview. Yeah, you're gonna enjoy it from what he's told me. So
it's very vulgar.
Yeah, like Cage Warriors probably is on the same level, but I still think of them as a feeder league because that's basically what they are. That's UFC snatches people from Cage Warriors constantly. So
I would say this. I think at the top, Cage Warriors might be better. But Cage Warriors does not put a top to bottom card together like Octagon does. right? Like the guys fighting in an Oktagon opener or a KSW opener are like co-main event or third from the top Cage Warriors guys.
Like, because
and they're like
they're getting paid. That's why.
Yeah, well, and their whole card is made up of guys who would
Right.
be on a Cage Warriors main card. And like
Yeah.
at the tippy top, like you're right, a Hardwick might be some of the top guys in this organization, or Vucenic, or I guess Vucenic got signed by the UFC. But like a Jordan Vucenic, you're right, is better than guys on Oktagon sometimes. But like it's just the tippity top that outplays them, and then the rest of the card is way better on Oktagon.
Yeah, I don't think Cage Warriors pays so hot either. At least from what I've
I don't think so.
heard through grapevine. These promotions obviously do, because they're getting, like, when fighters leave the UFC, especially if they're a European fighter, they tend to end up in Oktagon and or KSW. So maybe we shouldn't talk about the competition. I don't know if these promotions even consider themselves a competition to each other or not.
I think it's a different market. Yeah, like I mean, they're filling out 62,000 or 1,000 seat German stadiums. Like I don't know that they care so much about what the UFC is doing.
Yes, this week they are in München, or München's another. That's a German name to say Munich. Is that right? Munich, really? Huh.
Sure.
Or maybe apparently
it's a place in Munich. I don't know. I don't know anything about Germany. I've never been to Germany. I'm not going to pretend to know the geography of Germany. It's insulting if I do.
I haven't either. Even though my mother-in-law is from Germany, I'm not going to pretend. Looks like it holds 11,500 people. So in this
a little bit smaller this time.
Staff Garden, but still a pretty good size card. So definitely not a minor league. Octagon. Now we sold you an Octagon. Well, we should jump into our main event. Not the main event, main card of Octagon 64. So we'll set you up. Let you know it's Saturday, 12 Eastern is when the prelim starts. So this will be perfect. You can watch this whole card probably, and lead you right up to the UFC 310 pay-per-view that evening. 11 fights. We covered the first 5 yesterday. So if you haven't already, pop into our prelim episode. And today we're going to jump into the main card. After I remind you to check out our merch store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. We had a sale over this past weekend. I don't know for sure if it's still on. I have not checked. But Black Friday was the code then. So maybe sneakily try that code, and maybe you'll still get 25% off anything in our store, especially the MMA Gambling Podcast merch. Definitely check that stuff out. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. All right, back to München or Munich, whatever you want to call it. Main card opener. I think Topology, I think they've updated their order pretty good here. Yes. We are talking about Michael Deiga-Scheck. He is from Germany. Jakub, Dohnal, he is from the Czech Republic. And these guys are fighting at 150-pound catch weight, 3 5-minute rounds. We'll tell you about Deiga-Scheck. Vivo is the nickname. 11-6, 4 knockouts, 5 submissions. He's been knocked out 5 times, 2-2 in Octagon. He's won 2 of 3 and 4 of 6. So consistent. TKO lost in his last fight. He's fought at bantamweight and lightweight. 2-0 as a pro boxer, plus 200. Dohnal Hezoun, Hezoun. Pretty boy or handsome man is what it translates to. So basically something that could be Gumby's nickname as well. 12-5, 1 knockout, 5 submissions. He's been knocked out 3 times, submitted once. 8-4 in Octagon. He has lost 2 straight fights, though, and only won 1 of his last 3. His past 2 losses have come via TKO. He's fought at 155, 1-0 as a pro grappler, 6 years younger than Deiga-Scheck, despite the losing streak, minus 275.
Yeah, I'm going to get on an underdog here out the gate. And I know Dohnal is lost to a really high level of competition, right? He's coming off of that James Hendon loss. But like the losses to me are bad enough, especially because he's getting knocked out. We've talked about knockouts not being one-offs, or you don't get knocked up by a guy less powerful. Those are cumulative. They get worse. And Deiga-Scheck has got kind of a nasty set of combinations. I really like his lead hook that he throws. His hands are definitely going to be faster than Dohnal's. I think the only reason Jakub Dohnal is going to be a favorite here is they think he'll wrestle. And they think he'll wrestle enough, because I think Deiga-Scheck beats him on the feet. And Deiga-Scheck kind of got a little bit of his wrestling going last fight. He looked really good, scoring a couple of early takedowns and getting some top control. And to be honest, he was on I want to say it was the curtain jerker of his last fight card. He was dominating that fight right up until he got knocked out. And maybe that's why he's a dog in this fight, but or maybe it's the wrestling of Dohnal, but Dohnal's wrestling also has just not looked good lately. Could be the level of competition, but even if you want to go back to when he was fighting a little bit easier guys to wrestle, like those guys he was wrestling before, even though they were a lower level of wrestler than, like I said, the James Hendons of the world that he just lost to, he did give up positions to them. Like he would get the back and he'd get too high up and he'd get thrown off the top and he'd be on the bottom. And I think against Deiga-Scheck, like I think he could run into problems there too. Deiga-Scheck holds the position halfway well. He could also just disengage and force him to box more. And like my biggest knock on Deiga-Scheck maybe long term is that his defensive striking's not all that good. Like he's regularly putting his chin out there to be hit, but Dohnal doesn't strike me as the type of guy who's going to get after it. He's going to look for those opportunities for the takedown. And as a result, I'll take Deiga-Scheck and his fast hands on this one.
I'm not a fighter, more of a lover, but I would suggest don't put your chin out to get hit, regardless. Maybe not even in love or in fighting, right? Right.
Yeah, I try not to get hit if I can. That's why I do jiu-jitsu and not MMA.
Yeah. Naked jiu-jitsu. You don't get hit in
not
naked jiu-jitsu.
No fully clothed, rash guards, the whole nines.
The whole nines.
Yeah,
all right,
nothing without clothes.
All right, fine. Fine. German versus German fight is the next one. Another actually, no, we're not doing that fight next, are we? No, we're not. We got back-to-back German versus German fights. 3 straight German versus German fights, actually, starting with a big boy fight. I almost jumped right ahead. Don't want to skip the big boys. Patrick Vespaziani. Sebastian Herzberg. 3 or 5 minute rounds at heavyweight, the big boy weight. All right. Who are we going to talk about? Herzberg first. 5-0, 3 knockouts, 1 submission. He's 1-0 on Oktagon. He's won 3 straight fights via TKO. He's a regional champ. He's at plus 110. Vespaziani, El Gladiator. I assume that would mean the gladiator. Right?
Yeah.
3-2 with 3 knockouts. He's been knocked out twice. He owes his rounds. This is his debut in Oktagon. He's gone 2-1 over his last 3, but he did get TKO'd in his last fight. 7 years younger than Herzberg, minus 150. Is it a big sloppy heavyweight fight, Gumby?
This is going to be sloppy. Now, it's not going to be a sloppy fatties like we typically like, because it turns out that most of the sloppiness that happens in Oktagon are just like absolutely jacked and ripped heavyweights.
It's weird. They're always jacked in these promotions that don't have
I'm not saying
enough supplement.
I'm not saying anything, but dude, heavyweights look different in Europe than they do in the US. Like, there's no Parker Porter looking guys in Oktagon. It's all
shout out to Peter Parker Porter.
That's actually not true. They do have Jeremy Kimball, but he's from America.
Yeah.
And he used to be a middleweight over here, and he's a heavyweight.
He ate his way to heavyweight.
Yeah. And but no, I'm gonna go with Vespaziani. He's sort of this is kind of not going to sound great for either of them. He's really a lumbering heavyweight. He's kind of like really, really heavy on his feet, which is what he's doing so that he can throw hard enough. He's got maybe 3 minutes of gas in the tank, but he can wrestle. It's just like how much he does with that takedown is going to determine whether or not he can continue to fight, because if he has to struggle for it too much, he's tired. Herzberg, I think, is just way slower. And isn't going to be able to react to those things. And even if Vespaziani kind of gasses himself out, like, I still think Herzberg will be slower than Vespaziani. So I think he scores takedowns. I think he has control of the position. I think maybe he just knocks him out real fast. But I like Vespaziani. It's not going to be a clean looking fight, but it might be fun for as long as it lasts.
All right, we like fun. I'll definitely use this as our clip for the week, Gumby. You said this is probably not going to sound very good for either guy, but
this is going to sound real, and then you can tag both of them in the clip.
Exactly, please. Yeah, because Gumby and I love getting in Twitter beefs with people. We love getting in online beefs and pissing people off, especially big heavyweights. That's our jam for sure. All right, one thing that definitely is our jam, no sarcasm, is Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all sports. They got NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and more. And you can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Gumby might give you some plays you can use those specials and boosts on right now.
Of course, I'm always going to give you one that you could use. Now, you're getting this in your ear on Tuesday. Let's see. We've got Suns and the Spurs. Late night. Your Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker's been shooting the ball pretty well lately for your Suns. So I'm going to take the higher than on Devin Booker's points. I wouldn't get in on his rebounds or assists, but I definitely get in on his points. Let's say Devin Booker shoots well enough on Tuesday.
Where do they usually have him set higher and lower? I haven't made a play on him.
I've seen him at like 24 and a half ish.
Okay.
And like, yeah, like I could see him lighten that up. It also, I mean, I guess probably depends on whether or not Durant's sitting out a game, because if Durant's sitting out one, that number goes up a little bit. If Durant's playing, it comes down a little bit.
It's true. You never know. That's one of the dangers of making plays in basketball these days. Maybe not as much of a danger on underdog, but if you're betting on lines, yeah, definitely danger when players are always sitting out. But yeah, I guess that's another benefit of underdog. Yeah, if your player isn't playing, then don't make a play on him. Sign up today. MMA SGPN is our code to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Underdogfantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. We are brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a brand new social sportsbook available in 45 states. A huge market for betting opportunities are available on Rebet. Easy to use and great for people in states where traditional sportsbooks may be restricted. Download Rebet in the App Store and use the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $100. That's Rebet, REBET, promo code SGPN. Speaking of picks, check out my daily NBA picks. I'm killing. I'm like 70% on my picks this year. So I'm about to tank now that I've said that. Let's move on to another, as I said, German versus German fight. Max Holzer, Eugen Black-Dell. 3 5-minute rounds. This is another catchweight 150 pound fight. I'll tell you about Black-Dell first. This is one of the ones that we do not have odds for. It was one of the fights they just made. Is this last minute? Is this fighter, both of them losing people? I can't remember the.
I don't think Black-Dell did. I think Holzer just lost an opponent. They originally had Holzer fighting somebody else.
So is Black-Dell short notice then?
I think so, and I don't think he's come into the organization either. Like they needed somebody. That's why it's catchweight too.
Yep, short notice debut for Black-Dell. He's 10-6, 3 knockouts, 3 submissions. Been knocked out once, submitted twice. He's won 3 straight fights, including his last fight via submission. Multiple region championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get our shirts and all our other stuff at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get sticky. Used to fight at 145, 155, and 163. The vaunted weight class of 163. So many great fights have happened at that weight class. Holzer, Stifler. Is that from that movie I'm supposed to watch, Gumby?
I don't know if it's from American Pie or not. I think it is Stifler, right? It's not Stifler.
Yeah, Stifler.
Is it Stifler?
Yep. No, it's Stifler. You're right. Stifler.
Okay.
Yeah. He is 9-0, 2 knockouts, 6 submissions. He's 3-0 in Oktagon, 5 straight wins via finish. Used to fight at 135 and 145, an inch taller than Black-Dell.
Yeah, this should be -1,000. Max Holzer, easy pick. This dude is a freaking bulldozer. He's not bad on the feet, to be honest. But mostly what he does is he just like starts throwing heavy combinations to back you up against the fence, and then he is on you like a bulldog. A big pressure wrestler, in your face constantly, really good, diverse set of attacks up against the cage. Clearly somebody that Oktagon's high on, because he is super young too. I think he started fighting pro when he was 16, if I'm not mistaken. Like, this is a guy who's been in it for a really long time. And he's up against Eugen Black-Dell, who, you know, I was able to get some film on him because I didn't know very much about him. He's awful on takedown defense, and I won't sugarcoat it at all. He's just so bad there. I watched him fight a guy who was 4-11, and the guy just like knee tap takedown, took him down twice. Then after some scrambles, finally the other guy stood up, and I think he rolled his ankle and just quit. Because that's how bad. Yeah, that's how bad of a fighter was. Ooh, you know, it was like the Peter Griffin meme where he like hurts his knee and like yeah, and so like that's one of Eugen Black-Dell's wins on his record after being like repeatedly taken down by an awful opponent. Finally the mob was like, no, I'm just kidding. It wasn't anything like that. But my point is that Max Holzer should take this dude down without a problem. He should finish him in like 2 seconds. The best part of this fight will be Max Holzer's walkout. This guy's walkout is constantly one of the funniest things. When he fought on that other big German card, the big stadium card, he took a motorized scooter to the cage.
Smart.
Yeah, like a little like one of those like Razor scooters, but now they've got motors on them. He dressed up as Buzz Lightyear one time to walk out. You know, like he's a good time. So hopefully we see something crazy from Holzer here again.
There you go. He is picking. Oh, sorry. What were the odds for the?
I said negative 1,000, maybe.
Right,
Like he should be a massive favorite.
All right. Fantastic. Let's move on to a guy we actually mentioned yesterday. This is our third of 3 straight German versus German fights. Alexander Poppeck. We spoke about yesterday. He's fighting Marc Doussis for Germany as well. These guys are at 205, 3 5-minute rounds, light heavyweight. And we do have odds for this one. Doussis is 9-4 with 1 no contest, 5 knockouts, 4 submissions. So he's finished everyone. He's been knocked out twice, submitted once. So he pretty much owes his odds. No, he owes his rounds. We have odds. 1 and 2 in Oktagon. He's lost 2 straight and only won 2 of his last 6. TKO lost in his last fight. Regional champ, 2 inches of reach over Poppeck, plus 163. There's that number again, 163. Ironside, Poppeck, 17-5, 11 knockouts. He's been knocked out once, submitted twice. 4-1 in Oktagon, 5-1 over his last 6. Won his last fight via TKO. He's got multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get shirts. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. 0-1 in Contender Series. 0-1 in PFL. Oh, who did he fight? Contender Series.
Poppeck. Jamal Hill, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was Jamal. You're right. 2013 pro MMA debut. Whatever happened to that guy, Jamal Hill?
He's fighting Yuri Prohashka now.
He's fighting online is what he's doing.
Yeah, that too.
2013 pro MMA debut. Used to fight at heavyweight and middleweight. 3 inches of height over Doussis, minus 225.
I'm going to go with the underdog Doussis here. I think Alexander Poppeck's, I know he's coming off of a win over Jeremy Kimball, UFC veteran Jeremy Kimball. Yeah. But man, did he look bad in that fight. Every time Kimball looked like he was entering striking range, Poppeck looked scared of what he was going to throw at him. And like Poppeck is so much bigger than Jeremy Kimball. And I don't mean weight wise, but like physically, muscularly, body structure bigger than Jeremy Kimball. And anytime Kimball got close to him and like even slightly feinted a shot, he got out of there like he was scared of it. He eventually like had to like muscle a takedown onto Kimball and got Kimball belly down, and Kimball just didn't have the power to stand up. And like it was a really ugly fight. And then like I know Doussis is coming off of back-to-back losses, but one of those is to Scott Askham, which is obviously a good one. And the other one is to Pavel Langler. And in that fight, he was cruising. He was winning pretty easily. He had Langer backed up against the cage. He was throwing some combinations together. Not the most technical combinations, but all you would ask for from a regional light heavyweight. So like he was beating up Langer pretty good, and then he got caught with a counter and dropped. First of all, that's obviously something you would worry about in the future, is like if he's getting, just dropped by a dude like that on the very first counter he eats, that's a problem. But like, then again, when we watch Poppeck fight, Poppeck's scared to counter. He was scared to counter Jeremy Kimball. He wouldn't throw a counter punch against Jeremy Kimball.
You're scared, bro.
And if you're not going to throw a counter punch against Jeremy Kimball, you're not going to throw one against Doussis. He's throwing much harder, much scarier, and with a much better sense of range. And that's even noting that, like, I don't think he's the most technical light heavyweight on the planet. So I like Doussis. I think he's going to let go enough, and as long as he avoids that counter, plus 163 is going to look real nice.
It is going to look real nice. Anything with the plus before it looks real nice when you are gambling. Plus 163 for Doussis. That is our play. Let's give you. Let's give you a couple of. Let's tease you, make you wait for the last 2 title fights. First of all, I'll tell you about mybookie.ag. We are brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie has been running on SGPN for years. Check out their new and improved website. Great on mobile. Plus props for every game and the live dealer casino. They even have new early cash out options available. Check out all the MMA odds there and head to mybookie.ag. Promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag. Promo code SGPN. And SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. You get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model. Copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build you a model. You can now track props in the Rhythm app. NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, and NBA. They got it all. Rhythm has it. Of course, Al Horford props are in the house there as well. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And now back to Germany. Nothing but title fights the rest of the way, folks. Oktagon vacant welterweight championship. Gumby. Why is it vacant? What has happened to this title?
I think Brito left and then came back. Am I wrong about that? Because he left to be on Contender Series.
Okay, yeah.
And I think he vacated. I don't know that they ever gave it back away. Or no, maybe it was vacated for what's his face to go down and fight in the Tip Sport Game Changer at 155.
Tip Sport Game Changer, maybe. Do I have a list of champions? They have rankings and everything. Octagon's really
I'll get you the answer. You go ahead and start.
Will you? Okay. Let's get started on this here title fight. So how do you say his name? Kaik, Brito?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Not Cake, too bad. Kaik, Brito, Jan Surdu. So Brito, not surprisingly, with the last name is from Brazil. Jan Surdu is from Moldova. These guys are fighting 5-minute rounds. They are fighting for the 170-pound belt, which a ghost currently has. Speaking of ghosts, Dracul is the nickname for Surdu. I guess, is Dracula a ghost? I guess he's not alive, technically, so maybe he's a ghost. He's 15 to 6.
I don't think he's a ghost.
No, I don't think he's a ghost. Fine. He's Dracul. I'm trying to connect things here, Gumby. Come on, work with me here. He's 15 to 6. 11 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out 3 times, submitted twice. 3-2 in Octagon. 3-1 over his last 4. He won his last via TKO. Multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get sticky. 2-0 as a pro kickboxer. 2 inches height, 4 inches reach, plus 110. Brito, 17-5, 14 knockouts, 3 submissions. So he's finished everyone. He's been knocked out once. 4-1 in Octagon. Actually, it says he's the champ, but
he was the last champ. I looked it up.
Yeah.
It was the last champ. He vacated to go to Dana White's series. They haven't had a title fight since. So now it's like he vacated it. So like they're making him fight for an interim or a vacant title, but like it was his.
Yeah, he crawled back, crawled back to his ex, begging for forgiveness. So he's 4-1 Octagon, was the champion, and then he left. He's won 3 of his last 4, won his last fight via TKO. He went 0-1 Contender Series because he fought
Oban Elliott.
Oban Elliott.
And to be fair, he beat Oban Elliott too. I'm just gonna put that out there.
You put that out there. You keep your Oban Elliott hate going, Gumby. All multi-region championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt or anything else we have for sale at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get sticky. Used to fight at 155, 185, no 163, sadly. 2 years younger than Surdu, minus 150.
Yeah, I think he beat Oban Elliott, to be honest, because he clearly won the first. He clearly won the second. You could make an argument that Oban Elliott won a 10-8 third when Brito just absolutely positively ran out of gas. But at the end of the day, if that's your best option, it should have been 8 or 28-28. And for some reason, it was 2 judges found a way to give it to Oban Elliott. So
judge is going to judge. Judge is going to
judge. I don't know what they were watching. I thought Brito had won pretty obviously. But with that being said, I'm going to pick Surdu here, despite the fact that I've seen Brito beat somebody who's in the UFC now. I think Brito is the better all-around, more well-rounded fighter, particularly when it comes to grappling and scrambling with the grappling too. The way he scrambles and creates distance when somebody shoots a takedown, I really like it. I just don't think he's got the gas tank for a 5-minute or 5-round fight with Ion Surdu. I think Surdu's faster. He's also definitely got the better cardio. I think the longer this fight goes, the more it favors him. I think he's a better pure striker in the grand scheme of things. And also, I don't think this fight has got either guy's got any interest in bringing this to the mat. So you got a guy who's more well-rounded, but probably won't use it, especially because if he does use it, he's going to gas even worse than he'll probably gas in the first place. So I like Surdu here, slight dog. I think the gas tank holds up. He starts building momentum late.
All right. So he's going in on Surdu, a new champion of the world or of the Octagon world. All right, to the main event. We'll see if he's picking a challenger here as well. Octagon MMA Heavyweight Championship. Hatef Moeil. He's from Moeil. He's from Germany. Lazar Todev. He's not from Germany. He's the challenger. He is from Bulgaria. So we've got 5-minute rounds. We are fighting at the big boy weight, 265. The challenger first is the Punisher Todev. 11-6, 8 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been submitted once. 3-1 in Octagon. He has won 2 straight and 9 of 10. Very nice run. Past 2 wins have come via TKO. He lost to Moeil in November 2023. So keep that in mind. This is a rematch. 2014 was his pro MMA debut. 2-2 as a pro kickboxer. 9 years younger than Moeil, plus 120. Moeil, boss. Hey, when you're the champ, you can call yourself boss. 15-4, 10 knockouts, 1 submission. 3, he's been knocked out 3 times. 4-0 in Oktagon. He is the current champion. No vacant titles here. He's won 11 straight fights. He's not lost since March 2018. Was a regional champion. Based on last weigh-ins, he was 28 pounds heavier than Todev. He's 2 inches taller, an inch of reach on him. Minus 163. There it is again. 163, Gumby. It was meant to be.
And maybe it's an exchange rate that we're having trouble.
Maybe. But we had a 163 weight class too.
So, that's true. That's true. I'm gonna go with Moeil. I will say I would be really hesitant to put this one in any parlays. He did clearly win their first fight, in my opinion. Todev backed up way too much. Wound up with his back against the cage. As a result, it kind of like nullified the kickboxing advantage he probably has. Also probably made the wrestling advantage even better for Moeil. Once Todev wound up back against the cage over and over again. So I think Moeil, like in theory, should still have those advantages. But the thing that gives me just a little pause and say like, hey, don't rush out and back the Brinks truck up to this line yet, is that Todev had better cardio in that fight. Like he clearly looked better in the championship rounds. And then in addition to looking better in the championship rounds, he also hasn't had this wildly long layoff too. Because Moeil's last fight is Todev. He hasn't fought since he fought Todev, whereas Todev has gotten a couple of fights in. He's looked good in those fights and basically worked his way back to it. And Moeil hasn't had to defend against anybody since then. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. But also, like, you know, I'd worry about that in terms of Moeil, especially because the thing that, like, sort of played well for him was his ability to get going early in that fight. And so, like, if he's a little rusty, like, he might lose that edge. At the end of the day, I think his wrestling and the fact that Todev backed up enough is enough for me that I like Moeil's pressure. I like his ability to move forward. But it does give me enough pause where I'm like, I'd really feel better if this was like in the -120, -130 range than the -160. And it'll probably continue to move up too, if I'm being honest, because it's a rematch that somebody already won. You'll probably see it -200, 220 by fight time. And I'd stay off of that one. But if you can get it a little bit lower than that, I like Moeil.
All right. Moeil is the pick. Let's give you a recap. We're not giving you a lightning round because we did every fight in Oktagon, 2 episodes of Oktagon this week. So hopefully you like it. Maybe that's something we'll do more of in the future. We shall see. We shall see. Moeil, Surdu, Doussis, Holzer, Vespaziani, and Deiga-Scheck is the picks, or are the picks for this episode. And I think I did all right with the names again. No Polish fighters. Maybe that's why I did okay.
Vespaziani gave you a little bit of a handful, especially the second time.
Yep. I tend to not get any better the more I say it, which is shouldn't be the way it goes. But hey, that's the way we roll around here. We're back tomorrow. That's the way we roll as well. UFC is actually back. UFC 310. UFC 310. I haven't dove into the card and fully. It's a pretty solid card, I think, off the top of my head, right?
Hey, Ben, I'm really excited about the main event.
Yeah,
I like Pantoja. I think he's crazy fun to watch. And then, like, you know, it isn't often that the UFC gives a title shot to a newcomer. That's real weird. And it just goes to show you how like exciting Kyle Sakara is. So like we'll see how he holds up to seeing somebody like Alexandre Pantoja.
Yep, not a middleweight to be found on the card, which is a good thing as well.
Wow,
a former champ on the early prelims, Chris Weidman. So
yeah, we already broke that fight down too.
Yeah, we did. So hopefully we can just insert the clips. So we don't have to talk about Chris Weidman, Eric Anders again. But anyhow, a former champ on the regular prelims as well, for no apparent reason. That would be Aljamain Sterling. So yeah,
I guess a very apparent reason.
Yeah,
like an obvious reason. Dana White hates his guts.
Yeah. And I guess Evelev, I guess he thinks it's going to be a grapple fest too.
I also think he hates Evelev. Like I think this is his opportunity to get one of them off his back.
Yeah, and I guess it's not like he actually does anything with the UFC anymore. I think he's basically the figurehead nowadays. But anyhow, behind the scenes, I'm sure he'll say, I don't like that guy. I'm sure he doesn't even have to say. If we know it, then people that work for him definitely know who he does not like as well. So one thing we do like is talking to all you degens in our Discord. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord is the place to be. Twitter is SGPN MMA, SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm a Jeff Fox writer. You can hit us up in the comment section of YouTube, MMA Gambling Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, of course. Check out my Substack, enter my UFC Pick'em contest, or maybe wait until you see who Gumby and I pick over the next couple of days. That would be moneymma.substack.com. Gumby has Top Turtle MMA podcast. He has so many interviews recorded. He doesn't know who you're going to get this week, but it's going to be someone good. I guarantee that. So listen to Top Turtle MMA. And of course, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We'll be back tomorrow. It will be the handsome man, Gumby Vreeland. It will be, who should I be? I should be the Punisher. No, boss. I'm boss, Jeff Fox, and we shall talk to you tomorrow.